War Eagle, welcome to the virtual edition of the Ambush Engagement Tour. It's always inspiring to have so many of you join us from around the world. And it's easy to forget just how vast the Auburn Alumni Network really is. As of this most recent graduation, we have 250,000 living alumni, including more than 42,000 members of the Alumni Association. And we are constantly exploring new ways of connecting the Auburn family like never before. This past year, 14,000 alumni and friends participated in live and online activities hosted by our Auburn clubs and affiliates. We also had 1,000 new members join the Auburn Alumni Association, and I encourage you to become a member so you can stay involved with us no matter where you are. The Auburn Alumni Association has a strong tradition of supporting scholarships through its endowment and club and affiliate network. To create additional opportunities for out-of-state students, we created waiver scholarships, which are currently valued at $12,000 per year. These waivers will allow qualified students to only pay in-state tuition. The requirements to enter the applicant pool are simple. The student's parents or guardian must be a fully paid life member of the Auburn Alumni Association and an alumnus of Auburn University. These scholarships may be applied for through the Auburn University Scholarship Opportunity Manager, which is online. Thank you for all that you do for the Auburn family. Now please enjoy this virtual presentation of Ambush at Home.
It's so important that Auburn University thrive as an academy so that the athletics department can thrive. At the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We want to make sure that we have the right and the best students on our campus. We want to help prepare them for life after college. We want them to have the very best experience they can possibly have. And no different than the scholarships that this group and other alumni group or other groups support, we provide those same scholarships and those same opportunities and that same engagement. We're very fortunate to have Coach Johnny Harris here tonight. Coach Jay. Coach Jay, when was the last time we beat 3 top 25 teams in 1 year? That's a lot of math, and you need your toes for that. So, Coach Jay, congratulations on a very successful season this year. You talk about a leader of women, and as I get a chance to know the girls in her program, and as they get a chance to meet the recruits who come in, clearly they are here because she's able to develop deep, deep connections. If you think Auburn sells people, Coach Jay sells people, then they come to Auburn and like, oh, that's icing on the cake. So Coach Jay, welcome, obviously. I only have 2 minutes, so y'all need to stop clapping. But we also have Jeff Graber here tonight. Jeff, thank you for taking the time to come out. Jeff, can I say it for you, Jeff? Well, I think it's funny. If y'all didn't realize, Jeff did stand up when he... he says that it's probably better when you say it versus when I say it.
Just said it right before he said it.
That's all I do is I just use other people's lines, use their material. No, but honestly, Jeff has done a remarkable job. He's a multi-time SEC Coach of the Year. Obviously, we've had a tremendous amount of success this year. And most people will say it's because of SUNY Lee. And I will tell you, it's not just because of SUNY Lee, but it's him and his staff and the way that these young ladies train and the way that they love each other and the way that they have bonded that have helped create such a special moment in Auburn athletics where people have a hard time and some people can't even get tickets to gymnastics. So Jeff, welcome, congratulations for I was just texting, for those of you who follow tennis, follow tennis, I was just texting Caroline Lillier, our women's tennis coach. We're hosting NCAA regionals this weekend, and I said, hey, good luck, I'm so damn proud of you. I'm so very proud of you. No, thanks, Bryan. I'm so very proud of you. And she texted back that she was nervous and that she just wants to make the Auburn family proud. And so just know that we have coaches like her. We have Bobby Reynolds, who has made the top 25 for the first time in his tenure here at Auburn, and everything is just going along. Listen, we all understand, we all watch, Coach Pearl have the success that he's had, and I know that Andy's going to talk about that. We know that Coach Harsin is building this program and has great processes in place and is really helping to develop and shape these young men and prepare them for sport. We have equestrian, who's won SEC championship recently. We have women's track and field outdoor, who's ranked top 25 in the country. We've got baseball, who's ranked in the top 20 in the country. We've got softball ranked top 20 in the country. I'm running out of breath. But we're doing such great things right now, and it's a great time to be an Auburn Tiger, and it's truly because we have people like you who trust, who believe, who support what we do. Not everything is going to be perfect. We recognize that. We're going to hit some bumps in the road, and that's okay. That's a part of what builds character. And so long as we stick together as an Auburn family and recognize the three things that are the most important to us and to what we do, and it's these three things collectively. Number one, we are here to educate our young people. We're here to help them get a dynamic experience and make sure that they get a world-class degree at Auburn University. Number two, we want to make sure that we put them in position to win conference and national championships. We cannot shy away from success, nor will we. Number three, and most importantly, our responsibility, our coaches' responsibility, and everyone around them, and everyone who surrounds our student athletes, including you. We are here to create Auburn men and Auburn women. That's what our charge is. That's what our purpose is. That's what our passion is. That's why we work so hard every day. Don't cry. You look like you're about to cry. Don't cry. But that is the absolute truth, right? And we articulate that truth in the Auburn Creed. So as long as we continue to live by what we talk about, if we be about what we talk about, we are going to be okay. I had a conversation with a CEO outside of our industry, and they used this term that I never heard before, and I'm going to try it on you tonight. But he said, we're gonna can till we can. And I said, I'm from Seattle, so excuse me. And he said, we're gonna can till you can't. Oh, can until you can't. I'm glad, my accent was really good then. And what he was saying is, you do what you can until you can't do it anymore, until there's no more breath in you, until there's no more life in you. And our coaches and our support staff, we are canning as much as we can. We are doing all that we can to make you proud, to that our young men and women in our programs are representing Auburn to the best that they can, so that you can be walking around, whether it's this club, some other club, some grocery store, Costco, Trader Joe's, if you happen to get some guacamole, just let me know. But we are here to serve our young people. We're here to put them in position to be champions in life and on the fields and courts of play. So with that, let me turn over to Andy, who will introduce our two previous coaches. Thank you. Go on, go.
War Eagle. So glad to be here tonight. Before I bring up the coaches, let me introduce one person that's here tonight. This is our date night, is your ambush meeting. My wife Jan, I just came back from Knoxville and I was in Mobile last night. We're going to be at the basketball banquet tomorrow, then Huntsville on Thursday, and then there's baseball this weekend. So Jan is an Auburn grad, her bachelor and her PhD. She sang with Joey in the Auburn University Singers, so please welcome my wife, Jan. With that said, and I did this last night, we get this question a lot, so I'd like to give you an update on Rod and Paula's children. It's coming up on 3 years, unbelievably, at the end of this month of that tragic accident. Shelby graduated from Auburn last May with honors, Dean's List, and she is teaching second grade at Cary Woods Elementary in Auburn, where she and Joshua both went to school. Joshua, of course, lives with Jan and I. We are his guardians. I've told folks if Jan had not been in our life, they would never have asked me to be the guardian. She is the key to this. Joshua will graduate with your daughter coming up, and yours as well. It's coming up in May from Auburn High School. He finished a semester early, and he will be enrolled at Auburn University this fall. So, there's an update. Without further ado, the folks that you're here to see tonight and listen to. First of all, Final Four run. He has been the SEC Coach of the Year. He was the SEC Coach of the Year this year. Should have been the National Coach of the Year, in my opinion. Led Auburn to an SEC championship, a #1 ranking for the first time in school history. He has graduated 31 of his student athletes since he has been at Auburn University. And this year, he had the Freshman of the Year and the National Defensive Player of the Year. And both of those young men will be first-round draft picks coming up. Please welcome Bruce Pearl. They weren't booing you, Bruce. You know that.
Great thing about being named Bruce, I don't know whether you're booing me or brewing me. And I've got a little bit of both, I guarantee you.
Also with us tonight, he led Auburn to a top 10 win over Ole Miss. He led Auburn to its first win in Baton Rouge since 1999. Were any of you there that night? And I mentioned this last night. There's one thing that I get asked about this a lot. What's Coach Harsin like? Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. This man wants to be the football coach at Auburn University, and we all should be proud of that. Please welcome Auburn football coach Bryan Harsin. Have a seat. Welcome, gentlemen.
What'd you say last night? You said intense.
Yes, you are intense.
That's how you introduced me last
Yeah.
night, right?
Are you not?
No, I don't think it's like you said it last night.
Really?
Yeah, certainly not in this moment. Yeah, then I felt like coming on stage. I was like, oh, I gotta be intense. So, right? And that's hard to do with this guy.
That's a lot of
here.
pressure. That's a lot of, Andy, that's a lot of
I'm
pressure.
sorry.
It was.
I
I know. I was all happy. I'm like, okay, intense.
I didn't mention it tonight, did I?
Was that?
I dropped
no,
that
but
tonight.
I was like waiting for you to say that. So
Well, I'll pick
who
that
am I
back
gonna be
up.
tonight?
I'll pick that back up in Huntsville.
All right.
This is pretty intense. Right here.
Glad
Let's
to have
talk
both of you.
about you tonight.
They don't want to hear about me.
The voice of the Tigers, right? He is the best of the best, yes?
Is that to put out the fire? What is that?
Yeah. That was all part of it. That was all part of the intro.
Couple things that are in the news of late I want you to talk about. First of all, Coach Pearl, just if you would, about the trip coming up at the end of the summer as you will take your team to Israel this year.
So every 4 years, the NCAA will let you take a foreign tour. And it's been one of the coolest things that I've done in 40 years of coaching college basketball. Almost, I don't know. I got to get that figured out. I think it's close to 40 years. And I've been overseas like maybe 10 times. And the bonding that takes place with the players, when you get to see something you've never seen for the first time, you remember who you sit with. And so it's really, really special. Obviously, Israel, from a standpoint of history and religion, and we're in a ministry, right? And we're gonna go to where Jesus was born. We're gonna go in Jerusalem where King David built his temple, and we're gonna walk those steps, and we're gonna have Bible study, and so it's gonna be just a really cool thing. We got a chance to play against the U20 Israeli national team and the national team, and there's a chance that stuff is going to be on the SEC network or maybe some tele. We're working really hard to make that happen. A trip like that doesn't happen everywhere because you can't afford to do something like that. We went to Italy 5 years ago. You can't afford to go to a place like that at Auburn. They've given us the resources to separate us, from our competition, and myself, our staff, we're grateful.
You and I were talking upstairs that we're going to talk a little bit about the transfer portal and its effect. Okay.
No, you know what? From that groan in the crowd, no, we're not. Yeah. They're going to Israel. We're going go-kart racing. Yeah. You want to talk about that? It's still awesome. It's competitive.
All right, before we get
Yeah,
to the
exhausted.
portal, speaking of driving,
You know, so wait a second, I gotta tell you, so
I'm
Tess
just
and
here.
Brandy kind of got to know each other a little bit, and I think it's cool. The why they get to share stories, and each of us, and so we were going through a little bit of where we're going. Where do we go on the road? And so Brandy said, well, I think we're going to the Bahamas this year. Then this summer we're going to Israel. And she slaps him and goes, I get to go to Starkville, right? That's for football. Right? Why couldn't you have been a basketball coach, right? See, you don't get this everywhere, do you? You have to come to an event like this to get that inside stuff.
That is the true story right there.
so it's intense at home too then? That's what you're saying, okay.
Always. Yeah.
You were in Talladega just recently. You got
Yes,
to
I
drive.
was. I did.
How fast did you go at Talladega?
Oh, it was phenomenal. They put it on cruise control at 55 miles an hour. Yeah, I was a letdown, a little bit. Awesome. Let me say this. First time Talladega, so my background, I got a little drag racing in my background, so being around burnt rubber, exhaust, all that, I was in my element. It was great. I got a chance to be around the drivers. Everybody there was first class. But we got a chance to do the pace car before we actually did it in the race, and you go on 55 miles an hour, hit cruise control, and then you get it up to 75 when they turn off, and you're back to 55, then you get out of their way. I said, that's easy, I can do that. And he said, all right, now you can open it up a little bit. So he hit like 120. The guy that was sitting next to me, yes, he doesn't know me, I don't know him, so he was a little bit in the seat, he's a little nervous. I told him I could drive, he didn't believe me. So it was great though, and then we got out there in front of the cars. That for me, I was kind of looking in the rearview mirror, and the first two laps, first of all, we leave, the guy's like, go. He's in a fire suit, helmet, I'm in my clothes, and a seatbelt. And I said, what's wrong here? And he's like, yeah, we know who's important in here, so don't worry about it, just drive. But we leave, and we leave, and there's like two cars behind me, and he's like, damn it, we should have told him we're leaving. I'm like, yeah, this guy is running the show, this is bad. But they caught up in a hurry, and we took 2 laps, they pulled off, we went 75, he came back 55. The coolest thing though was right before we hit that final turn, and the green flag's gonna go, you can feel like the cars are right up against you, and they're right on your bumper there, they're not hitting you and all that, but they're right on your bumper, and you can just feel like they're ready to go. Just kind of like you're coming out of the tunnel in a game or getting ready to go play, like they're just back and forth, and you can feel the engines, you can feel the power, and those guys are like, just get out of the way, you can see them, they're looking at you like, move. And once you pulled off, they hit the green flag, and we kind of drove along there and watched them, and they accelerated, the race is on, so it was an awesome event. And I appreciated just, everybody there, how great they were to my family and I, and we enjoyed it. We'll do it again too.
Did they have to tell you to stop when you pulled into the pits?
No, I'm coachable.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I listened. No, I listened. I actually did what I was supposed to. Well, I did exactly what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And you turn off in a little kind of hidden corner there, and but everything was, it was great. So no, I didn't mess it up. That was one thing. So my dad, I called my dad. All right, my dad's been in cars and racing his whole life. And I was talking to him, he said, so what are you doing? Are you going to Talladega? I said, yeah. And I said, hey Dad, I'm gonna drive the pace car. He goes, you're gonna do what? And I could, right, it was a cool moment, because that was something that, we could have won a championship, we could have done all these things in football, and that was the one moment he's like, that's the coolest thing ever, man. And so that was, for my family, that was a proud moment there, so it was really cool to be able to do that.
All right. We do
You still want to talk about the portal?
Yeah, we're going to go with that.
All right, we'll move on.
Here's the one thing I was impressed upon coming out of the spring with regard to this Auburn team. Because there were a lot of guys that had the opportunity to move on, and some did, all right? There are a lot of guys, though, that decided they were going to come back. The Nick Broms of the world. They're coming back to play for Auburn, to come back and play for you. I mean, that's Auburn right there. I mean, they want to be there.
They do. Yeah, those guys, Derek Hall, Eku Leota, Owen Papo, Tank Bigsby, all those guys, they love Auburn. and that's the one thing, we've had this conversation. They love Auburn. They want to be at Auburn. And they want to play in that stadium. And they want to be on that campus. So I think for those guys, one of the things that we really needed to be or improve in was our leadership on the team. We had talked about that. And the one area that I thought we did the best job through spring was our leadership on this team. We had guys leading, but we had guys that were following too. And it goes hand in hand. And so, and it wasn't always the same leader. Sometimes the guys led one day, and the next day they were following, and that's exactly how a team should be, in my opinion. And I saw that from those guys, and they love being out there. They love being with each other, and they love playing for this team. So, to me, we made a lot of progress, all right, from where we were 16 months ago at that time to where this team's at. So, I'm proud of our guys. When they had a chance, we had a little bit of some turmoil going on for a few weeks there. And when we talk about leadership, we really just say, hey, when leadership is needed, provide it. Anybody can lead. And I watched guys step up and say things and lead the team and come out publicly and want to sit down with certain people and have conversations. And to me, as a head football coach, those are young men that you're developing and they're in your program, and to watch them actually take action like they did, that made me, our entire staff, and everybody else, really get very tight with that group of players. And I say our bond right now is very strong. So those guys chose to come out and say, this is who we are, this is what we're going to be, and this is where we want to go. And to me, that was the most important thing that I think our team did this entire spring. So I'm excited about the group, where we're at. We're headed into finals. I know they're not excited about that, but they got to finish up and make sure that they do a great job, and then they get a few weeks off. We'll come back this summer. We got to knock it out June, July, and then get ready in August. And we know we have a great schedule. We got 5 home games, and these guys are excited about that. So it's a great group of guys. I like where we're at. We're going to get a few guys from the portal. We'll get a few more to come in there and supplement what we're doing, and guys that can play for us and help us. And when we do that, you know what, we're going to be at full strength and we're ready to play.
Hey, I'm just going to jump in. I'm really glad that Coach Harsin's guys jumped up in there and led and said things that he said. I'm glad nobody asked my basketball team what they thought, because I guarantee you my ass would be out of here. What do you think of Coach Pearl? Really? I don't get enough playing time. I don't get enough shots, right? Why are we running this offense? Whoever thought that was a good idea? I don't think that's not a good idea.
You had a pretty good year.
Yeah, but I'm just
Pretty
telling
good
you.
year.
I'm just telling you that all that does is put a little makeup on it. That's all it does.
Here's a couple things that impressed me about this season. One, there was not a better basketball atmosphere that we went to home or away. This wasn't. It's the best. And people talk about it. Other radio guys come into our place, and they talk about what it's like to broadcast from our building. But what was so fun this year is how many folks then were witnesses for Auburn on the road.
Yep, no, it's good. I think the great thing about being at Auburn was a lot of places the chicken and the egg. You gotta win first, and then they'll start showing up. That's the way it is in a lot of places. At Auburn, y'all showed up and helped us win. Right? We weren't very good for a couple of years. We played hard. We competed. That first team. I don't know where we finished in the league. I'm sure we finished 10th or something along down there. And then we got in the SEC tournament. We won 3 games in the SEC tournament with a JV team. And those kids, that was the beginning of and it's kind of like what Coach Johnny did. I mean, she didn't have many soldiers out there. She just didn't, But to go to Georgia Tech and beat Georgia Tech, right? To beat Tennessee at home. We hadn't beat Tennessee at home. I can't remember the last time we beat Tennessee anywhere. And that's the beginning of the things that you got to do to get things started. Our coaches are always, we feel responsibility to the student body. We're involved on campus, and it's gratifying to me Like I remember before, Coach Harsin's got a lot to do before a game, if you ever watch him in those pregame things. But every sport that's out there recruiting, we all have our prospects, we have our parents, we have kids that are making a decision on whether our program's going to be any good in gymnastics and women's basketball or men's basketball. He's got to play a game and get his team ready, and he will go around and he will adapt the coaches and say hello to parents. He's got coaching about a half hour, whatever it is. But that environment right there, pregame at our stadium, right, it's about as good as it gets anywhere in the country. And I remember one of the first times I was down there, one of his first games, I said, Coach, stop, call time out, look around. Look, these people aren't here to support you, and they're here to support Auburn football. But it's just special. It's just different. Y'all do that. Y'all make it possible for us to, do that. And then, like you said, going on the road was significant. Well, here's the deal. You couldn't buy tickets to Auburn Arena because they weren't any. And if you went on StubHub, they were $500. So, the best thing to do is run up to Tuscaloosa. You get them tickets for $5, right? But actually, it was more expensive than that. They played, I think, Kentucky close, and I think then they were charging $6. I don't give a shit.
I think that's obvious.
What are you going to do, fire me? You want 20 a game?
You signed your contract, right?
No, but it's unbelievable, and we're using that in recruiting. But again, it's the same thing in football. When we go on the road, we do go down to LSU. We had witnesses down there to watch that, football game, and that's what we need to continue to do from y'all. And y'all got to get on the road with us. And when we went to Mississippi State, we won that SEC championship at Mississippi State. We had 2,000 or 3,000 people in the building, and that was really special. So thank you.
I don't know how many times last year, after the Penn State game, people asked me about the atmosphere at Penn State. It's the first time I've been to Penn State for that. And it is a fabulous atmosphere. And that was a good football team that night there. But the thing I always said was, yeah, they get to come to our place this year. Penn State comes to our place this year. Bring it. Right?
Yeah, Andy. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. I'm told, so go back to the Ole Miss game, and that evening, that was the best atmosphere I've ever been a part of. And I've told people that in all my career. That night was fantastic, and our kids played extremely well. And then we got to the Iron Bowl. And I had heard, that was the first question that I had gotten when I took the job, was, what do you think the Iron Bowl is going to be like? The hell if I know. I've heard about it, but that night as well, and I know it didn't go our way, and our kids fought. And they set a standard for how we want to play. And that's really what I took away from that game, was if we play like that, we'll be hard to beat. And so we've showed that game several times. But our atmosphere and what Bruce and the basketball team did, that is one thing. I've got a chance to be in ours, and I'm coaching in it, and I'm very focused on what we're trying to accomplish. But one of the things, we get the TV timeouts, we got all those new lights in there, they shut off, all the music plays and things like that. I'm trying to talk to guys, and all they're doing is staring up at the board. It's a little bit of a distraction. You're like, get down here, get a hold of you here. And then you go to our other events, in whatever sport. We do have the support. That's one thing that everyone that comes on campus, they see it. Not just in football or basketball or gymnastics or women's basketball, they see it. They see it all across the board. They want to be a part of that. And that is what makes us different. I really do believe that. So our game day atmosphere, and I know Bruce does it with our players as well. I've had a chance to be a part of that, going in there at halftime. And we're recruiting for football, we're recruiting for everybody. That's the one thing. We're recruiting for all of our sports because they all hang out with each other. They all know each other. They're all friends with each other. It doesn't matter what sport they play. They all want to be a part of what we're doing, all right, and every single thing we do. So, those things all matter. And yeah, Penn State was a great atmosphere. Ours is better. It really is.
Yeah.
You can feel it. You can feel the fans. You can feel the love. You can feel the support. And we have it. So you walk through Tiger Walk, you get to that stadium. Really, in my opinion, there's no excuses. Like, you're ready to go. And when you have that type of support, you want to go out there and perform. So that's the message that I've had the chance to share with our players. Now experiencing that and going through a season, you know, there is no excuses. We have the fan base, we have the support, we have every single thing you need to go out there and compete at home, especially, and to be successful. So we're looking forward to having Penn State back this year. Be excited about it.
You know, building what Bryan said, just listening to him talk about, you know, being at Everything School and the support they receive. I think it's a good time to give our athletic director, Alan Green, some credit. The state of our athletic program, look at what we're doing right now in the spring. I mean, baseball's being the #1 team in the country twice, right? They're nationally ranked. Softball team is getting ready to go to the tournament. Both tennis teams are in the tournament. Both golf teams are in the tournament. We've got an amazing leader for our football program. John's getting that basketball program going. We don't stink. I mean, things are pretty good. Things are pretty good. And Alan Green deserves a lot of credit. And listen, I know I'm sucking up to the boss, but I already signed my contract, so right?
Here's one thing I like to see, and Jan and I go to everything that we can, is that at a women's basketball game, you're going to see the men's basketball players sitting on the front row supporting that women's team. Or you're going to see Derek Hall at every one of those men's basketball games. Man, he is right in the middle of that jungle.
Shirtless.
Yes.
Yes.
It's impressive.
Yeah, and he has the body to do
Yes,
that.
he does.
Yeah.
I'm not going
He
to
just goes there, he and Jarquez Hunter just go there and take their shirts off. Yeah. And they said, what's that? Right, and that's where it started. And that's where it started.
Brandy has said, honey, America has seen quite enough of that. It's enough. You guys had fried chicken tonight. It's enough.
For you, BP, as you look at this team, you and I talked about this last night. And we talked about this throughout this season. How important June was of last year to this team. We all knew that there was great talent and potential for this team that ended up winning an SEC championship. But a lot of these guys not only were new to the program, they were new to each other. So with that in mind, how important June was last year, how important is June this year to the formation of this coming team?
It's really important, and you just got to give the kids the credit. You really do. Listen, so we brought in 4 transfer portal guys, right? We brought in, Wendell and Zep from mid-major programs, hungry, trying to prove that they didn't get recruited properly, just wanting the opportunity to get out there and play at the high level because they do it in the SEC. And so you know how they're trying to prove themselves every day in practice. And then you got, Walker coming in, hadn't played very much in North Carolina, coming home and playing in a new system that sort of suits him a little bit. And he's frustrated because he really didn't do much as a freshman, and so his attitude is great. And Jabari is just the best I've ever coached, on and off the court. He's just a pro. And he came in, and all he cared about was winning. All he cared about was training, getting better. All he cared about was his teammates having success. I mean, it wasn't about where he'd be 1 or 5 or when he was going 1 or done. He just wanted to get better. He brought it every single day. I just try not to screw it up in some ways, okay? And then KD, gives us that spark. He's a guy that giveth, and sometimes he taketh away. And he knows how to win. He does, for us and for them, right? He knows how to win. And so, but you know what? He's got a really, really, really good heart, and he's come a long, long way. And he had it rough, and he did not have it easy. And he wants to be coached. He wants to. He wants to. I asked him the other day. I said, "Do you like fishing?" And he said, "Fishing?" He said, "I ain't never been fishing." I said, "Would you like to go fishing?" He said, "I don't know. You want to go fishing?" I said, "Yeah, let's go fishing." And he said, "Coach, I didn't have a dad. Nobody ever asked me if I wanted to go fishing." All right, so that's what y'all are doing. That's what y'all are giving us the opportunity to do. Right, so that lets me kind of forgive him a little bit when he, when I take him out of the game, by the way, and he's not very happy, I pretend I can't hear what he's saying as he's yelling at me. And when you're 62, I don't hear great. But I actually hear sometimes what he's saying to me. And I know the guys on the bench going, I wonder if Coach Burke can hear that, right? Yeah, you got to ignore it. He'll calm down. All right, I haven't even answered your question. So the bottom line is this. I want to give the new guys, but here's the deal. Because the new guys came in and they all won their spots. They all came in. All 5 of them came in and won spots. It also says something about the guys they replaced. It says a lot about Stretch and Dylan Caldwell, that competed with Walker, but accepted their roles coming off the bench. And Dylan, with his energy and his emotion and his passion, got better this year. But it says something about their character, as well as Walker's character. Walker was worried about how Dylan or Stretch would feel with him coming in. All right? And then Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams was arguably our best player the day before. Jabari Smith comes in. Most of those guys are out the door transfer. But because of Auburn, because he loved Auburn, he said, you know what, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to compete with Jabari, and he did. And Jabari beat him up in the starting position, but Jalen had a really solid year coming up the bench. Now, I need Jalen to be the Jalen he was a year ago, and then some next year. But he stayed. It was all about his character. And so you just kind of go right up and down our roster a little bit. So a lot of times it's the guys that are returning and they got beat out. But because you've got good character kids on both sides of that, and that culture is what it needed to be. That's what it was this year. We got to try to do that. We're just trying to do that again this year.
Want to talk quarterbacks?
No. I told you that. You still brought it up.
I did.
Go ahead.
What were your thoughts?
Why aren't you talking punters or kickers, right? Andy,
You've got a punter. You've got a heck of a punter from us, Joe.
We have the best punter
Yes,
in
you
the country.
do.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. You can give him a hand.
That's
I tell him that all the time. He really is. He's phenomenal. That's all he does, though. I mean, they don't do anything else in practice. They have some game that they play on the pool table, which is not even real pool, and then he punts. That's what he does. Which, in all honesty, I mean, I don't want to see him that often, but when he does have to do it, let's be the best at it. So, but our quarterbacks, yeah, I'll say this about those guys. One, every one of those guys are extremely competitive, and that was the one thing you really wanted to see from them. It's hard to rep 4 guys. I thought Coach Keesaw did a great job of getting all those guys the reps that they needed and deserved during spring. One guy, Zach Calzada, the transfer from Texas A&M, so he had shoulder surgery before when we got to us, he had shoulder surgery, so he couldn't go with the 11 on 11 times in practice. And we didn't want to get him hit or hurt or have any setbacks, but he did get a practice, and he can throw it, and he's going to be a very good player. He is cleared and ready to go, so summertime, we'll get a chance to watch him. Holden, our freshman that came in, about probably practice 6 or 7, you can feel a little bit of that just weight mentally where it's like there's a lot of offense, and that happens to freshmen during that time. But he'll take that, what he learned, he'll take all that information, he'll apply it to the summer, and he's going to be much better when he comes back in fall. And then we had TJ Finley, who played for us last year, and TJ really commanded the offense well. I thought he did a great job because he's been there. And so you got a chance to watch him, and he led. He's helping other guys too. He's not just worried about himself, he's also helping the other quarterbacks really within the process of how we do things. And then Robbie Ashford, he had a really good spring game. And we know Robbie is extremely athletic, coming from Oregon, and he's just processing and learning everything we're doing, but I think he's going to be a really good player for us. So all those guys, they're competing, and the one thing about that room is, and I tell those guys this, hey, you can only control what you can control. Like, we'll control the reps, and whatever you get, whatever opportunities you get, maximize it. All right, be great teammates, lead your guys out there. All right, you guys can take care of each other and help each other out, but when you're out there and it's your opportunity, just maximize it. And every one of those guys did that. So they're going to compete through the summer. We'll have a chance for those guys to compete in fall. We'll make a decision. We will have a quarterback behind the center when we go out there and play. I promise you that. All right, we'll have all 11 guys, but when we do, that position is really important to the success of our entire team. So whoever that guy is, they've earned it. And, every one of those guys, I love where they're at. I really do. There's a lot of work to be done, but I love the fact that they want to. And so, that to me is more important than anything else, is they got the want to and the determination to go get it done this summer. We're going to work like heck with these guys to get them ready to play.
You've got some new guys in new roles on your staff and some new guys at Auburn on your staff. And you had a spring to kind of get everyone acclimated. So talk about that transformation, if you would.
Yeah, staff. So Eric Keesaw, he's been with me, and he's now our offensive coordinator. Eric's a great organizer, leader, and he does a great job of getting everybody involved. And so I got a chance to watch that again firsthand this spring. We also brought in a few other coaches on the defensive side. I'll get to Ike here in a minute. Jimmy Brumbaugh, that played for us, all right? Auburn Tiger. You give him a hand. So Jimmy's going to coach our D-line, and I got to sit in his meetings. He is a phenomenal teacher. And I knew about him when I took the job. And we went a different path, and then this time around, it was undeniable just that this guy needed to be on our staff. And so he's making an impact, doing a great job in recruiting. We hired Christian Robinson, the linebacker coach from Florida. This is a great young coach. He is phenomenal when it comes to just connecting with the players. And his dad was a high school coach, so he's been around this game. So he is wise beyond his years and really does a great job of, one, just being a great staff member, but I think bringing a lot of value to what we're doing and being a low ego, high output guy. And so you love that about him. And then on the offensive side, Ike Hilliard. All right, Ike, if you don't know Ike Hilliard, he was successful in his own right as a player, and this guy has brought so much to this staff. One, the players love him, his knowledge of being in the NFL and being an elite player, but we had all of our coaches get up in front of the team and talk about leadership. So one of the things for all of our coaches, they all want to be coordinators or head coaches. So I said, well, listen, you got 5 to 7 minutes, you head coach the team. We're going to talk about leadership. So every guy got a chance to do that. And Ike knocked it out. He talked to those guys about what he felt like leadership is, but he did something really cool. He told all those guys, he said, hey, and he's a very humble guy. He said, look, y'all want to be in the NFL, I know that. And y'all want to do things that I've had a chance to do. So if that's really what you're searching for, I'm here for you. Come see me, and I'll tell you all about it. And I'll try to help you the best I can. And then he moved on to what he was talking about next. But he left this door open for every guy to come see him and ask him about his experiences. Because he's not going to brag about them, but he's certainly going to help those guys help achieve those things. And so I love the coaches. I love where the staff's at. I think the chemistry of that group is one of the reasons why our team is where it's at right now. And that will show up when we go out there and play this fall.
I know you love your staff too, don't you? Yeah.
We got a great staff. When we do our recruiting presentations, we want to give the kids some confidence in a couple of things. One, if you come to Auburn, you're going to graduate. You're going to get the support you need academically, which is really important. Recruiting's important, retention's more important, both academically and all the different ways that we have to support our student athletes. I have coaches and I have teachers, I have fathers. We've always had, FCA was kind of born here at Auburn. It's been a huge part of the success of Auburn athletics. It still is. And for those of you that remember Randy Roberts was my minister for a long time, and so many of you helped keep him, support the ministry of Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And Randy got an opportunity to not only get married, but go down to Texas at the same time and start their program down there. So I lost my minister at the start of our season and chose not to hire somebody at the beginning of the season, or almost that point in the middle of the year, because I got a team full of ministers. Every one of my assistant coach can run a Bible study. as well as a practice, and as well as an individual workout. You know, they're all ready to be head coaches. They've all chosen to stay here at Auburn. We've been able to take better care of them and their families. You know, I'm proud of it. Look, it was an article the other day for lots of various reasons, including just the stuff we had to go through with the NCAA. We had begun to win and do really well, and our coaching staff, when we got back from the Final Four, was the 13th highest paid staff in the league, only 14 teams. And that was because we just really wanted to send a message to the NCAA, look, we're happy we have our jobs. We're not going to be taking these increases because we're not trying to put it in your face. We've got something we need to go through, okay? And then post that Final Four, Alan was able to help make the adjustment that needed to be made to keep your staff. You know, a lot of times in business, we worry about recruiting. Like, you got good people that are working for you, you better find a way to keep them. You better find a way to take care of them. We work our butts off to go get them in recruiting, and then all of a sudden they're good, and then we kind of let them leave over something, and you just shouldn't do that. So grateful for for our staff and the job they do, and they all recruit, they all scout, they all compete. You know, we have 3 full-time assistants, Stephen and Wes and they each have a team of scouts. They split the scouting, so they each have a third of the schedule. And we draft a team at the beginning of the year, and if a coach has had success against a particular opponent, he usually gets to keep that team. If we struggle against that opponent, I'm going to make an adjustment and say, no, somebody else is going to take that scout, and so on and so forth. Well, my son Stephen has probably had the toughest scouts. He gets Kentucky every year, he gets Tennessee every year, he gets Florida, he got a few, so his record isn't quite as good as some of the other ones, but he always complains because he's got the toughest schedule, right? But I like those guys to compete. I like them to prepare. And like Coach said, put them in positions to be head coach. You're only as good as people got around you. You want to judge me? Judge me by the guys I got surrounded. I'm okay with that.
There might be a fight if you took Tennessee away from your son.
Yeah. They did fire me. Yeah, they did. And an interesting thing, back then, I got fired over, having the kids over for a house for a barbecue. Now I can give them a barbecue restaurant. It's legal. Times have changed.
We can talk NIL if you want.
Yeah.
Alan, can we talk NIL? Are we allowed?
No, I don't think you should.
Okay.
Just let people know.
All right. Yeah. All right. So here's my perspective. First of all, it's a great thing for the student athletes. It really is. The fact that one thing always was a real challenge. We would go to tournaments. We'd make the NCAA tournament, and we travel all the way across the country. Of course, we're flying and we're staying in nice hotels. And our parents of some of our players are taking buses. They're not able to stay in the kind of hotels we're staying. They're staying at different places and YMCA's, YWCA's. And a lot of times, it's like I feel a responsibility, like we got to win tonight because Mrs. Chisholm is going to be here like an hour before the game. And if we lose, we're flying back right after the game, and she's driving all the way over here, So there's been a lot of adjustments that have been made, okay? And then what we need Auburn to do is the SEC is competitive now. It just means more, right? You all understand that. And so we want to be competitive. Auburn is an everything school. We want to be unbelievable in engineering. We want to be unbelievable in cybersecurity. We want to be unbelievable with our nursing program right here in Montgomery, right? We want to be able to give our students the best opportunity to be the best they can possibly be at Auburn. The same thing is really true of our student athletes. And so therefore, when you do hear about NIL opportunities and the competition, it's real. It's real. But it's a great way to support our student athletes. And we're going to do it the right way. We're going to do it the Auburn way. But we would appreciate your support and participating. And here's how I would sort of look at it. We don't want to necessarily ask you for more, but we want to ask you what you're doing for Auburn. And if you can't do more, then we're just asking you to consider doing something in addition, with the NIL?
Well, I think that was a great explanation right there of what's actually happening and where NIL is at. One of the things, you all read the same things we do. You read these stories of players going here for X amount of dollars, and originally that's not what NIL really was, name, image, and likeness. It was a chance for these student athletes to be able to make some money off of their name, image, and likeness because of what they were doing in that program, because they're so busy. All right, we take every single second of their day, and if they're not with us, all right, they're doing something academically, or they're in recovery, or they're watching film, or they're doing something to better themselves in that sport. And so now what I've seen from our players, and I've asked some of our players what they think about NIL, because I want to know where they stand. And what they're doing is they're also furthering their education just about life, is what I look at it as. Certainly they're going to make some money off of it, but you know what they're not doing? They're not sitting in their dorm room playing video games doing nothing. All right, they're out there doing something to better themselves. And so my perspective is really different. I look at it as this is all part of their experience at Auburn. And I always say this, college is not a career, it's an experience. And we want to give our players the best experience. So if name, image, and likeness adds to that, and that brings value to their lives, and that brings an experience to their lives that they can only get at Auburn, then that's exactly what we want to do. Now, we got to manage those things. They know that. They know they have to work hard. They know they have to put in the hours. They know they have to study. They know they have to watch film. They know they have to do all those things. Otherwise, you will not play. They know that. So this is something now they can do to better themselves and maybe better their situations. So if we're going to do those things, just like all of our programs, let's be the best at it. Let's give our student athletes the very best that college football or college athletics can give to our players so they can have this type of experience. So you know what, when they leave Auburn in 3.5 or 4 years, they'll tell everybody, you know what, I would do that again. I would do that whole thing over again. And that's really what you want, because that leads to opportunities for future players and student athletes to want to be a part of what we're doing, because they all talk to each other. And so that's really where we're at, is just making sure that, you know what, our guys, they have an opportunity to do the very best things in whatever sport, but on the football field for us in particular, academically, and then outside of football, they're also getting the best experience that way. And Auburn can provide that. And I know this, the reason why so many guys have stayed and so many people want to be a part of Auburn is because they love it. That word is used, and I'm telling you, from our players, I met with every single one of them. All right, 90 players. It took me 7 days, from 7:30 in the morning till 6:30 at night. All right, 35 minutes a pop. Asked them a bunch of questions. They love it, and they want to be here. Now, you know what, these opportunities just give them an advantage in their lives, their families, and all that, where, you know what, this experience is even that much better. And I know we can be the best in the country at it. So we're still working through it, but this is something that is an experience for our players that we want to make sure all of our student athletes have the best experience at Auburn. So, right now, I mean, it's something that everybody's going through, but we're going to be great at it. It's going to provide a lot of things for our guys, and it's going to help us be a better program overall when it's all said and done.
Thank you both for being with us. Thank you for answering these goofy questions. I appreciate it.
You asked great questions. Yeah, thank you.
I said this last time, I know it sounds corny. I dearly love to be the voices of your programs. It means so much to me, and I cannot wait for what this season comes, all right?
Yeah.
War Eagle, gentlemen.
War Eagle, thank you.
Thank you again for watching Ambush at Home. Please stay connected and visit our website to learn more about the tremendous programs and services available to you. War Eagle!